Hi guys, and welcome back to the second part of my video series. In this one we're going to be moulding the flat plate that we sculpted in the last one. So I'm just grabbing my chiffon clay again and making sausages, and we're going to put these around the sculpt and make a clay wall so that our silicone doesn't fall out anywhere. So when you're building the clay wall, you don't need to make it into a perfect circle. It's better to go around the edge of the sculpt, leaving at least a centimetre. Like I'm doing here, it's not all one circle, it's just kind of forming around the shape of the sculpt. And now I'm just going to go around with a sculpting tool just to smooth around the clay wall. This will make for a smoother mould when you take it out. Also, you want to make sure there's no holes so that the silicone will leak out underneath. So I'm just going to smooth this over and make sure that the clay is pushed down to the board. So now I'm going to get my lighter fluid and a small brush, and I'm going to go around the edges of the wall, just making sure that this is really smooth, and it will make a really nice clean flat mold when you take it out. And now I'm going to go in with some Vaseline. This will be our release to stop the silicone sticking to the sculpt in the board. So I'm just going to put all this over, making sure I go really gently onto my sculpt so I don't get rid of any of the texture. So now I'm going to be measuring out my parts A and B of silicone. I'm using the same measurement for both. Obviously yours will be different. So just kind of think about how much you would need to fill the mould and go all the way up to the top of the clay, because you want it to be quite thick, you don't want it to be flimsy, and you also want it to be level. So now I've measured out my parts A and B, I'm going to be going in with a pigment. I'm just going to pop this into my part A, and what this does is it pigments the mould, so when you make a piece it makes it a lot easier to see where your silicone is, also where your cat plastic is, and they just look a lot nicer. So now I'm going to mix the two together. Make sure that you mix it really thoroughly, because you don't want it to not set properly. So just get your spatula and give it a really good mix. So now I've finished mixing my part A and B. I'm going to pour this onto my mould. I'm going to pour it from quite a high level because silicone can get a lot of air bubbles in it, and you don't want these to get trapped. So if you pour it from quite high, when the silicone falls down, it will knock out any of the air bubbles. So now I'm just going to bang out any of the rest of the air bubbles on a flat surface. This will just bring them to the top so they pop. So you wanted to wait about 20 minutes to half an hour until that's set, and then we're going to remove the clay and peel the silicone off of the sculpt. And then you will have your mould. So you want to go over this again with some lighter fluid or acetone just to get rid of any of the clay. And then yeah, I hope you enjoyed.